What's up guys, Larry Chen here. Welcome to another episode of Hoonigan Autofocus. My head is crazy. We're out here at Colorado at Grid Life Alpine Horizon, one of my favorite events of the year. And this one is probably gonna be one of the biggest culture events of the year because of course, the shutdown, all of that. We're excited to be out here. We actually drove out here from LA, and as always, we do our best to kind of walk the paddock and check out the local builds and just interesting builds that made it out to Grid Life. This thing really stood out to me. I'm a big drift car guy. I love drift cars so much. I love the FC, and I actually had a chance to see this last year drift at Alpine Horizon. It actually reminded me of Justin Pollock's car, but this is kind of like the updated version, I guess, way updated. The owner, Andy, is here. Hi, Andy. Hi.
Hello.
So Andy built this car himself, put his heart, passion, soul, everything into it. This thing is so cool. I'm gonna just say it straight out. It's probably one of the coolest FC builds I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of FC builds.
That means a lot, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, let's go over this car. What was your inspiration to build a FC like this?
So I've always been into RX-7s, like all of them, even the FBs and, you know, SA's old RX-7s and stuff. And I always liked the FCs, mainly because you can get them so cheap. Well, used to be. I don't know if you can get them cheap now. I haven't had to buy one in a long time, but just the styling, you just make them look super 90s and like super JDM from like back in the option auto videos and stuff that I was into like when I was in high school and in college, that I wasn't seeing anyone build anything when they had like night sport body kits on them and like all kinds of just crazy stuff and just blowing fire and cool wheels.
So it starts with the awesome chassis. I mean, this is kind of one of those, it's like the last boxy, I guess, Japanese of that era, right?
Yeah.
After that, it was the FD, and around the era, it's the Supra, and pretty much all of these cars, like the R33, they just got rounder and rounder.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost that boxy look, which, I mean, it's like the last of the 80s, early 90s. Well, when did they stop making them? 88?
91.
91, okay. So it was essentially like the last of the 80s and early 90s car.
Sleek, powerful, with a unique dynamic tracking suspension system. 1987 Mazda RX-7s are here.
I couldn't even imagine what it was like to have something this cool in the turbo version. Talk about groundbreaking. Yeah. Talk about an awesome, like, rotary, turbo, all the cool things. It's basically a drift car out of the box.
Pretty much. There's some stuff you have to do to make them not suck, but you could still rip them pretty easily. And drifting then versus drifting now is two totally different things. Like, I don't know, I'm used to driving like lower horsepower cars. This is not that, but
yeah, this is the complete opposite,
yeah,
of a lower horsepower car.
Like, I started with the A86 and Miatas and, you know, cheap stuff, and kind of worked my way up to building something like this, but I always wanted FC. And the first one I built was still a rotary, and it made like 400 horse on a Power FC, and it just kept yeeting motors left and right, and I was done. So I had a buddy in Colorado Springs that had this shell that didn't have anything, it wasn't even a roller, and he just said, come get it. And it was Broncos colors, Denver Broncos colors. It was haggard. So like, this was like my chance to do something totally different.
Was it like an automatic shell, or was like what is it?
It was a
shell?
Turbo 2 shell.
Okay, it was an actual Turbo 2 shell.
Yeah.
And what year was the shell?
90.
Obviously, since then you've changed quite a bit. You've done a whole build on it. Just from the outside, if we can kind of go over some of the styling bits, what kit is this?
This is the fake BN kit, because I'm not spending money on a real one because I destroy them.
Mm-hmm. It is a drift car after all.
Yeah, I've had a real one and I was really sad. But these are actual Foresight fenders, that were really expensive, but you can't find them that are knockoffs. So I had to spend my, full paycheck on them. These are, I'm gonna say this wrong, Ariameme?
Yeah, Ariameme.
Yeah, mirrors.
I don't even know how to say it either.
But they're electric. They're kind of haggard. They don't really work, so they're like.
Oh, cool. So you can still
You can
control
still
them from the
control
inside.
them if you wanted. I don't look in my mirrors.
And then what was your inspiration with the paint?
There's a long story, and I'll try to make it brief. But when I was 17, I built a 1930 Model A, and it was way before they were doing airbags on hot rods and full Z frames and stuff like that. And I just kind of winged it and drew everything in AutoCAD when I was in high school, and built the car. And it was primer for a long time. Eventually painted it green, and when I painted it, I put my mom's ashes in the paint, and I didn't want to ever drive it. And I love green so much that I wanted to be able to drive something that was green, so green.
Wow, that's...
But this is cheap paint. I know it looks nice, but dude, I paint this stuff outside. Like, it's single stage Summit paint.
You painted this yourself then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I paint all my own stuff.
That's cool. I love the livery, by the way. It's very like 90s.
Yeah, like Street Fighter.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I just need to see if a Mercedes getting kicked the shit out of over in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, my buddy Reagan from Reaganstein, he's a graphic designer, and he hooked me up.
And of course, work wheels.
Yeah.
What size are you running?
I don't know which ones these ones. I think these ones might be my 10s. But like I have all my drift spares are all the same VSKFs, just so that it looks cool in pictures, because I don't care what I look like. I just want the car to look cool.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so let's come around the back. What wing is this?
It's a raised factory wing. I had a friend at the time that he wanted a drag wing, and I do engineering work, and so I made him a really nice drag wing in trade for the raised factory wing, because I didn't want a drag wing, I wanted a big wing. So I don't think anyone ever sees this, but these have beer bottle openers on them.
Whoa, what? So you can open a beer?
Yeah, that's what that is.
From here?
And those are for shotgunning beers. That being said, I don't drink. This was for my friends.
Yeah.
Because everyone's always hanging out by my car, so I
like
give
that.
some party favors.
I like that.
Yeah.
A couple other things. Taillights. What'd you do to these with these pentagram?
So I'm kind of a troll, and I just like to piss people off with stupid stuff. So the whole satanic thing, everyone knows I'm not, but it's still funny, because this is like hell spawn of RX-7s, because it has a V8 in it. But yeah, they're just acrylic pentagrams that I cut out on the CNC machine. I put some shoe goo in there so that they backlight like pentagram.
Interesting. All right, let's check out the, I guess the main centerpiece of this, of course, is the engine bay. You've kind of went crazy in this. Like, this is, I know what you guys are thinking. You saw the outside of it, and yeah, the outside is crazy, and it's like a well-done FC, but it's the engine bay that really blows my mind. I cannot believe how clean this thing is. Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. So, first of all, what motor is this?
This is a 5.7 LS that's been fully built, So it has K1 rods, Wiseco pistons, a custom Cars Performance ground cam, it has comp beehive springs and push rods, and it was all like balanced by Madcap. And they Madcap and Cars are like, they're owned by the same guy, and he's really cool. He really hooks me up every time I need something, and he helped me with the build on the motor, because we had a bunch of problems, and he just helped me out.
It's really something else. So, have you dynoed this?
Yes.
And what does it make?
It on E85 made 602 or 605, and I'm running E97, and I calculated it out. It should be around 700.
It's pretty insane.
Pretty gnarly.
And what kind of supercharger is this?
That's a Torque Storm supercharger. They're like a newer company. It's the same thing as like VF or Pro Charger basically, but this is their kit, and it's cheaper. Because it's cheaper, it's better, because if I destroy something, I can afford to replace it.
It's kind of interesting that it's facing that way. Like, I feel like I've never really seen.
I haven't really either.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's different because, you know, like you got to do some weird stuff, and you got to worry about like your IATs and stuff like that. But when you have an excess amount of horsepower and your IATs start climbing, you know, you're still 500 horsepower. Like, it's perfectly fine by me.
All right, so I see that the air goes in here, goes down, goes into the intercooler in the front, right? And then, okay, then
So it goes 3 to 3, 3.5 to 4.
Oh, wow.
So
It just gets bigger.
Yeah, and so I designed all the end caps in SolidWorks, so that way when I cut all the parts out, we could weld it all together. And my buddy Brian Bennett helped me weld it all, because I'm not the greatest. Like, I can weld, but like I can't weld like that. And I meant like.
So when you say SolidWorks, you actually bring the car into SolidWorks in 3D, so you can actually make everything.
For the most part, yeah. Like if I need something designed, I just draw it three-dimensionally, and break it down into parts, and then make everything.
Did you tub all of this yourself?
No, my buddy Brandon at Missileworks did it for me, because I was too angry about what had happened to the car that led to this. So there's a big drift event in New Mexico called No Coast.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of fun, but sometimes there's a lot of squids that show up, and I had spun out avoiding a wreck. You know, I was completely off track, and here comes this dude, just plows right into me, and I wasn't even on track. So my whole, you know, both frame rails were bent, and it was just trash. I was like, well, I guess it's time to do this. So here we are. But Brandon at Missileworks, he hooked it up. He does really great work. I just kind of said, this is what I want, and we went back and forth and got it hammered out.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Like, I had to do this thing to it. I feel really bad cutting his tub apart that he did. But
Oh, because to fit the
yeah, to fit the supercharger.
Yeah.
But
There's just so much. I don't even know where to start. Like, there's just so much here. It's so clean though, too. That, like, this, all of this tubing, everything. This is a proper drift car.
I tried really hard.
So you built this not for competition or anything, right? You just for fun?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I don't know. I'm not really into the competitions. I just like to drive in the party events and bash events and stuff like that. So, I don't know. The car's a little overbuilt, because now it's like that Pro 2, Pro 1 category of car, but I don't think I'd pass some of the tech stuff. So, it's, you know, it is what it is. I'm an engineer, you know. I don't have time to go to these events like some of these guys do, and as much as I'd love to, this is just how I kind of play with it, you know?
Tell me a little bit about, this is super neat too, like all of this setup. I mean, did you do all of this stuff right here?
Yeah. So like, the reservoirs feed back into the car, and there's a OBP pedal box that's like mounted to the floor. And then I make these sensor mounts that are like isolators for these, so that you get rid of all the noise in the system, so the computer can read everything, you know, really accurately. And then I made the mounts for the coil pack so that they weren't here and they won't get heat soaked. And then all this like stuff like this, like when you get these vibrant catch cans, they come with a little thing and it doesn't really work, so I had to remake the actual intermediate lid here so I could mount it to the frame, or the tub, I mean. And then like the tube and stuff like that, like there wasn't a real good way to mount this.
That's so neat, actually.
So it's like-
I really like that.
Kind of did it like it was a strut brace.
Yeah, I really like that. It's the simple things like that just
Yeah.
really kind of set it off.
And then like there's the fuel pressure regulator and flex fuel sensor, so I can run whatever fuel I want in there. Yeah. And then like there's just weird little stuff like this, these AccuSump clamps that like I couldn't find anyone that made anything cool, so I decided to just make them myself, you know, like.
But it's like multi-purpose. It goes onto the intercooler.
Yeah, it sandwiches and holds this all at the same time.
Yeah, and on top of that, it turns into a brace for this oil filter, right?
Yep.
Wow. It's just simple things like that.
I work with a lot of robotic stuff, and you have to compact things so that things can't get destroyed when robotic arms are swinging around, and they can slam into stuff, and it costs a lot of money. So it's like doing stuff like that. Like I'm kind of used to like stuff like that. So it's just like applied, you know, knowledge, if you will.
So tell me about the suspension.
It's a Part Shop Max coilovers, the pros, and then Part Shop Max angle kit. So like the knuckles and the arms, and then all the stuff in the rears. It's like literally everything they make, just because they're the only people making it. And that was before I was working in a shop where I could just go do whatever I wanted when I wanted. So I bought their stuff. So.
All right, so rear radiator. I love that little pull tab.
Yeah, it's off of a backpack. I had a backpack that had a hole in it, so I turned that into my little hook.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to put like a knob or like a weird handle off of some cabinet. It looked goofy.
Wow, this is pretty neat here.
Yeah.
So all your relays, everything's all in one area?
Yeah, this is all the relays and electronics for the back only. So it keeps it all completely separate through this Deutsch connector. It's like it just goes right through the firewall, and everything's hooked up on the other side. And then it feeds all the on-off, and then all the power is isolated back here in case of a fire or anything. It stays in the back, so I don't die.
This is a pretty serious rear radiator setup.
Yeah. I don't like burning motors down. Like, I've had it happen a few times, and after spending so much money on everything in the front, this is easy, you know, like $2,000 on a cooling system, even though you're making everything, is cheap by comparison to like 30 grand on a motor, or, you know, the whole car, you know, so it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's worth it to spend it correctly.
So you can pretty much slay an entire set of tires and then it won't overheat at all, huh?
It tries, but it pulls it back down pretty quick. These Spall fans are super high CFM. They're like, I can't remember. I think that like combined it makes like 4,000 CFM of draw from underneath the car. So when you close this, it pulls from underneath because everything's shielded all the way back to the firewall on both sides and then the top.
Oh,
so
wow.
it pulls it all from underneath the car. Some of it comes through here, so that's why I did the side cuts there. But for the most part, it does everything it can to pull it all out really quickly. So, like if I have the car on and I forget to turn the water pump on because it's an electric water pump, it'll hit 230 really quick. I can turn that pump on, and as soon as the water hits this radiator, it'll go back down to 190 in like 45 seconds.
The fuel cell setup, everything here also very, very clean.
There's a surprise in this though.
What's that?
You gotta look underneath here. Right there.
Baby Yoda. So you did this pretty recently then?
Yeah, I did it over this last winter. I missed a good portion of this drift season to put this car together.
Oh, it's worth it. It's all these little things. This is really interesting. So Andy turned this fan on when we were just driving out. It's basically just to evacuate the hot air from inside the cabin, huh?
Yeah, I mean, well, you can flip it, so you can make it excrete air or pull it in. So right now it's set to pull it into the cab, like an AC unit, I guess.
Let's check out the interior. This design is all throughout the car.
Yeah.
So you make all this stuff yourself in-house?
Yeah, I just draw the stuff when I get bored, and if I can make it work in the car, I kind of just throw it in. So the whole hexagon thing, like, I got to play around with a Lamborghini Huracan that had this, I think it was a Huracan, it had these hexagons in it, and I just loved it so much, and the way that the guy designed it, like layered hexagons, it just was like mind-blowing, and like I couldn't get it out of my head, so I just started putting it in everything.
Yeah, it's all throughout the car, and I mean, it just adds so much in terms of design. There's no function really here, but there are some places where it's functional. I noticed like on the rear, the shroud, right? Isn't that functional? So
Yeah.
it's not completely, or there's some air that goes through.
Oh yeah, those are just for extra pull.
Yeah, so extra pull for
Yeah,
there.
because it's like underneath here.
And then it's also underneath here, so, oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then air escapes from here.
Yeah, if it, you know, if I take this off, it helps a little bit, but it doesn't really need to be, you know, doesn't need to be open.
But this is cool. It's kind of like a fun design along with your number.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit about the interior. There's a lot going on here.
So I couldn't find a good dash that I liked, and at the time I didn't have enough money to afford one of the carbon fiber SC dashes, and they were only right-hand drive. So I ended up doing this because it was just, you know, you get to play around with your own stuff and design your own stuff, so I just figured this would be a lot cooler to do this. So this is just a 1/8 inch aluminum, and then 0.100 aluminum, and then 0.100, 0.100, 0.100, and it's just wrapped or painted.
You, it actually, it kind of reminds me of the F40. It's so like boxy, you know?
Yeah.
It's just straightforward. Like, this is a dash.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah,
it's very straightforward. I like
race
it though.
car
It's a
is.
really, I like it because it's, I don't know, it's just simple. That's kind of how race cars should be.
Yeah.
It's just hiding all the wiring and everything back there, but it's also really aesthetically pleasing.
You can even pull the board. Here, I'll show you. You got to see this because it's like it made my life like so much easier to do this. So I made this so that you can access everything like that.
No way.
So you just pull everything out, and then like all your
The
wires.
AM, everything, infinity is all right there.
And then I got all my fuses are.
That's so neat.
It makes.
It's
things-
just, what is it on? It's just, you just,
I just made some bar clamps. So I make all like the bar clamps in the car that hold stuff. So like the arc panel, like I just made this just because I couldn't find anything I liked. So
I don't even know what to say about this. This is so cool. Because usually I would see them mounted to the side of the trans tunnel or something, right?
Yeah.
All of this stuff.
yeah, and I mean like that's what I was looking at doing as well, and it was just one of those. I'm just gonna do it cooler than the way I've seen
So
it.
it never comes down by itself?
No, they're pretty tight. There's like it's clamped really tight to the bar so it won't come out. At least as far as I haven't seen it come out. I'm sure if I hit something hard enough or bottom out really hard, like going through a dip at like one of the crazy tracks here in Colorado, I'll probably make that thing fall down and crack my windshield again, but I don't want to do that.
All the little things that you've made, including even like the battery tie down,
Oh yeah, I make all that.
all the little things. I just noticed all these things that one off. So pedal box setup, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a OBP. So all the reservoirs for the brakes are adjustable through the little knob. And so you can adjust your bias front to back. And then the clutch has its own, and every FC guy that has had this problem knows it is a nightmare to adjust that pedal if you have an aftermarket master. It won't want to cooperate. They'll bend or stuff like that, and it's just really bad. So I just got sick of it and did the pedal box instead because it just made more sense.
Tell me about the transmission.
So the transmission is a Z32 out of a 300ZX that was built by HKS. It was just a weird Craigslist deal. The guy, his brother was in jail for something. He was some drug dealer or something like that, and he had all kinds of crazy parts and pieces to build this Z, and the dude needed money on his books, so he was selling these parts, and I go over there and check it out, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And it was like $300 for this transmission, and I just gave him an extra $200 because I was like, you don't know what you have, but here's some extra money. Tell your brother thank you. And I checked it all out, and it was built back in '94 by HKS, and that's when that guy went to jail. So unfortunately, he's still in jail, and I feel really bad for him, but thanks for the transmission, dude.
What a great story. I'm glad it's in here now. This thing is, there's just so many little things that just make this so special. You made it your own. Thank you so much for showing us.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you can think of that you want to point out? A little Easter egg?
No, not really. I mean,
you know, the thing is, I like this build because you built it for yourself. All the little design elements, all the things that kind of make you happy, you've done on this. And it really shows. I just love seeing these kind of builds. So you build it in your own garage?
Yeah. I had a shop I was using of it's like my father-in-law's, and he let me take over his shop space for a little bit and let me redo everything in this car. So it went from last year being kind of, just V8 thrash car to this that's just out of control.
Yeah, it's pretty out of control. Well, we'll see if we can get a ride with you, or if we can at least get some onboard footage of you. Maybe I'll even chase you in my camera car, because this thing is pretty rowdy. But yeah, thank you so much for showing us your build.
Thanks, dude.